6 years of marriage, $47,000 in our joint savings account, and the only warning I got was a sticky note on the fridge held up by a magnet shaped like a lemon. It said, "I need space. I'll call you." That was it. 4 words and a phone call that never came. My name's Mark. I'm 34. My wife Jenna is 32. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue back when I was 26 and still thought I was going to be somebody big in the landscaping world. 6 years later, I own a small business that installs outdoor lighting and irrigation systems for houses in the suburbs outside Columbus. Jenna works as a dental hygienist. We bought a modest 3-bedroom house 4 years ago. We were, by every outward measure, a normal, boring, happy couple. So when I got home from a job on a Tuesday evening and found that note on the fridge, my first thought wasn't that she'd left me. My first thought was that something had happened to her mom. Her mother has had heart problems for years. I called Jenna's phone 11 times that night, straight to voicemail every time. It wasn't until the next morning when I went to transfer money for a supplier payment that I understood what actually happened. Our joint savings account, the one we've been building since year 2 of our marriage, the one that had $47,000 and change in it as of that Monday, showed a balance of $11. She'd emptied it the day before she left. I sat in my truck in the driveway for probably 20 minutes just staring at the banking app, refreshing it like the number was going to change back. It didn't. I called the bank. They confirmed the withdrawal had gone through as a same-day wire transfer, initiated in person at the branch the Monday afternoon. Jenna had walked into our bank, moved almost everything we had, and then gone home and made dinner with me like nothing was wrong. We'd eaten chicken and rice. We'd watched half an episode of some cooking show. She'd asked me how the Henderson's patio install was going. Then the next day she was gone. I want to be honest about what I assumed, because it's embarrassing now. I assumed she was leaving me for someone else. I assumed she'd been planning an exit for months, maybe seeing somebody, and the money was her getaway fund. I went through her social media. I called 2 of her friends, one of whom hung up on me, the other of whom just said, "Mark, I think you need to talk to Jenna, not me," in a voice that told me she knew something I didn't. 3 days after she left, I drove to her sister Priya's apartment across town. Priya opened the door about 6 inches and stood in the gap like she was guarding a bank vault. I said, "Is she here?" "I just want to know she's safe," Priya said. "She's safe. She doesn't want to talk to you right now," I said. She took almost 50 grand out of our account and left a 4-word note. "I think I'm allowed to ask what's going on." Priya's face did something complicated then, somewhere between anger and pity. She said, "You really don't know, do you?" That sentence sat in my chest the whole drive home. Here's where I have to back up and tell you the part of this story that I'm not proud of. About 7 months before all this, my business hit a wall. 2 big commercial contracts fell through in the same month, and I was carrying payroll for 3 guys plus equipment loans. I needed $30,000 fast, or I was going to have to lay people off and possibly lose a truck to repossession. I went to the bank about a home equity line of credit. The problem was, the house is in both our names, and a HELOC that size needed both signatures. Jenna and I had fought about business money before. Not screaming fights, just the tired kind of arguments where she'd ask why I kept putting the business ahead of our savings, and I'd get defensive and say she didn't understand how business worked. I told myself if I asked her to sign for $30,000 against our house, she'd say no, or she'd want to go through every line item, and I didn't have time for that conversation. I convinced myself I'd pay it back quietly within a year and she'd never need to know it happened. So I signed her name. I'm not going to dress that up. I forged my wife's signature on a loan document to put our house up as collateral for my business debt. The loan officer, a guy named Terry who I'd known for years, didn't check that closely. It went through. For months it worked. I made the payments out of a business account she didn't monitor closely. I told her the business had turned a corner, and in a lot of ways it had, just not because of anything honest. The way she found out wasn't dramatic. It was almost funny in a horrible way. The bank sent a paper statement to the house instead of the digital one that month, some system glitch on their end. Jenna opened it thinking it was junk mail. She saw the loan, saw the balance, saw her name on the signature line in handwriting that wasn't hers. She didn't confront me right away. That's the part that still gets me. She sat on it for almost 3 weeks. She told me later she spent that time talking to a lawyer, a friend from nursing school whose husband does family law. The lawyer told her 2 things. 1, that forging a spouse's signature on a loan is actually a serious legal problem, not just a marriage problem. 2, that if she was going to protect herself financially, she needed to move fast and move quietly, because once I knew she'd found out, I might empty accounts myself or take other steps to protect the business at her expense. So she did the only thing she felt she could control. She took her legal half of our joint savings before I could touch it further, and she left without a 5-hour conversation that she wasn't emotionally ready to have yet. I found all this out 9 days after she left, when she finally agreed to meet me at a coffee shop with Priya sitting 2 tables away like a bodyguard. She put the bank statement on the table between us. She didn't yell. She said, I need you to explain this to me, and I need you to not lie because I already know the answer. I tried to explain the pressure, the timeline, the fear of losing the business. None of it sounded like anything once I said it out loud in front of her. I remember she just nodded slowly and said, "You didn't trust me with the truth, so I don't know how you expect me to trust you with anything else." I asked her about the money. I asked if she was punishing me. She said, "I'm protecting myself. There's a difference." She said her lawyer had advised her that whatever happened next, whether we tried counseling or moved toward divorce, she needed to not be financially dependent on someone who'd already shown he'd hide 6 figures of risk from her. She said the $11 I found in that account was never going to be enough for either of us anyway, and at least this way one of us wasn't starting from zero. We did try counseling for about 2 months. I won't pretend it was some redemption arc. The forged signature wasn't something a few sessions could undo, and honestly, once she said out loud in front of a therapist that she no longer felt safe not checking the mail, I understood we weren't rebuilding, we were just finding a respectful way to end things. The divorce finalized about 10 months after that fridge note. I sold 2 trucks and a trailer to cover the fraudulent loan balance, since legally it turned out I was the one on the hook for the deception even though her name was on the paper. My business survived, barely, scaled down to just me and one guy now instead of a crew of 4. Jenna kept her half of the savings, plus alimony that covered what the forged loan had put at risk. She moved into a place near Priya. Last I heard, she's doing fine. Better than fine, actually. People online sometimes ask me why I'm telling this story like I'm the one who got wronged. I'm not. I did the wronging. But I think there's a version of this that gets told wrong too, where the wife who empties an account the day before she leaves gets painted as cold, or calculated, or cruel. Jenna wasn't any of those things. She was scared, and she was smart, and she protected herself the exact way any of us would want the people we love to protect themselves. I used to think a marriage ending over money meant somebody was greedy. Now I know it usually means somebody stopped being honest, and the money is just the first place that shows up.